off on the podcast. Okay, so we are huge microphone wrestling fans in our household. And so the kids and I have decided to talk about wrestling on a podcast. Every Saturday morning we'll be talking wrestling. So those who know me know I was the co-host of a wrestling podcast called Hit the Ropes Radio. And, you know, we're Hit the Ropes is kind of gone by the wayside now, just to, you know, us being adults and having, you know, adult responsibilities. So, you know, so I decided what greater thing for me to do than to talk about wrestling with my kids. So basically we are, every Saturday we're just going to be giving a recap of all of the WWE TV. Son, please stop moving because that affects the microphone.
Sorry.
We did not watch NXT, so we will not be doing that.
Hey, will you let me do this time until I talk to y'all?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So, what was I? Oh, Jazz. What was I saying? Okay, so pretty much what we're going to be doing every week is giving you a recap of all the WWE TV, Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live on Tuesdays. Some weeks we'll talk about NXT, which is Wednesday nights. We don't watch 205 Live, really. I don't watch 205 Live.
I will start watching 205 Live.
It's not really compelling enough for me to watch. So, really probably won't talk about 205 Live that much. But first, we are going to get to the top two shows. So, first we're going to start off with Monday Night Raw. And I'm going to talk a little New Japan Pro Wrestling also. Of course. Because their WrestleMania this week was Wrestle Kingdom 12. And it was an excellent show. So I'm going to talk about that too. So right now, who wants to start off on their Monday Night Raw observations? Well, Jasmine, since you took notes, and you have a lot of notes.
I have like an entire page full of notes, if you cannot see.
All right.
Look at that. An entire page full of notes on there.
All right, so you start us off with your Monday Night Raw observations, honey.
Really? So, like, the main thing I'm excited about right now is the Women's Royal Rumble match.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like, the main thing I'm excited about. So, really what happened last night, in, like, the beginning of the show, is Kurt Angle came out to introduce the show, and then Sheamus and Cesaro, of course, they have to interrupt because of their loss of the tag team championships. They kept talking, which I that was a little annoying because they do that almost every time Kurt Angle comes out. And
it's kind of what they have to do.
Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins beat them for the tag team championships, and so basically they just came out talking about that. And then Jason Jordan came from backstage talking about how they had earned, which after watching that match, yes, I watched that match. After watching that match, they did earn them. Then Seth came out, and he also was saying things about how they earned the tag team championships, but like was kind of getting a little like off track, some kind of. So, CJ, do you want to go next? Wait, and then Kurt Angle declared a match, and
she's really detailed. She has a ton of notes. And Jazz, you don't have to like just give a recap of what happened. You don't have to, be.
So Jason Jordan and Cesaro had a match declared by Kurt Angle. Jason Jordan won the match.
Whoa.
And I didn't really watch the end of this match because I was kind of confused because I was in the bathroom.
After the end of the match,
Bray Wyatt.
Wait, let me say something because I have something to add on to the
Okay,
Jason
go for it.
Jordan and Cesaro match. Well, since I sat there and watched the rest of the match, after Jason Jordan won, I feel like Jason Jordan was kind of like over celebrative because Seth was just like,
I'm listening.
Like Jason was kind of like over celebrative, but
Celebrating too much.
yeah, celebrating too much.
Okay. It's fair. All right. What was the next match after that, Jazz?
Bray Wyatt.
Versus Apollo Crews.
Bray Wyatt versus Apollo Crews. So what happened in that match?
I said at the beginning, but I didn't watch this.
No, like, I was in the bathroom.
So did you watch it or what?
I was in the bathroom, so kinda not. CJ, did you watch that one? Or like, at least.
Saw the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, so long story short, because it wasn't a huge match or of importance, Bray Wyatt beat Apollo Crews, and then Matt Hardy, woken Matt Hardy appears on the screen, cuts a creepy, woken Matt Hardy, promo, and I'm using air quotes for woken because we all know it's broken Matt Hardy. WWE just changed the name so they could own it. So they're continuing their feud. I think it's different. I like it because it seems like, Bray Wyatt is getting out Bray Wyatted. Yeah.
So what happened to I have a question. What happened to Jeff Hardy?
He got injured.
Oh.
Where have you guys been? Like I've mentioned this more than once that Jeff Hardy was injured.
I just forgot.
Okay, next match.
So it was Alexa Bliss versus Asuka.
Uh-huh. And what's the significance of this match?
Well, I have something to add.
No, what's the significance of this match?
That Alexa was actually kind of afraid to face Asuka because she was the toughest opponent that she has ever faced.
Okay, so the significance of the match is you have Alexa Bliss, who's the champ, and then Asuka, who is undefeated. She didn't lose a match in NXT. She did not. She hasn't lost a match on the main roster yet. So that's the significance of the match. And so what that does is that puts WWE in a sort of dilemma. Do they have their champ get beaten in a non-title match, or do they break the unbeaten streak of, one of the best wrestlers in the company for no reason on a little match on Monday Night Raw? So we see what they went with. Liv could come in and join too. Liv hasn't been with us because she was getting her hair washed and blow dried. The girls are getting their hair done today, so this isn't gonna be as long as we want. So Livy Cakes. Hey, what's the matter?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
So what happened?
Oh, okay. So
Asuka won by an armbar.
Uh-huh. And Liv, you took notes too, right?
By submission.
Okay.
She took notes of the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, the Roman Reigns versus Samoa.
Okay.
There's a Samoa versus Roman.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Oh, I didn't watch Monday Night Raw when you were supposed to.
But Roman wasn't. Because if Roman got disqualified, he lost the championship.
All right, so Alexa Bliss tapped out to Asuka, and I think that's significant because it's WWE's booking. And I'm gonna talk a lot about booking and stuff. The kids they're not really, into all that stuff. They just watch the wrestling and comment on the wrestling. I shouldn't necessarily say, dive deep into the other goings on, but hey, what are you doing? No, stop with the blanket. Stop with the blanket.
Olivia.
Stop with the blanket. All right, so there's Liv.
Hi.
Stop with the blanket.
She has puffy ponytail.
All right, so and you see the kids are all on me right now, and this is
I'm not.
Well, you're right next to me. So, Liv says I'm fluffy, but anyway. So what was the next match?
Braun Strowman versus Rhino.
Okay. Well, anything significant about that match?
How many, like, afterwards, how many running power slams in that one match? There are 3.
Well,
one afterward and 2 after the match. One,
right.
Like, how many running power slams he gave, like, altogether in that.
So Rhino has taken it upon himself. Rhino, whose tag team partner is Heath Slater. They are former SmackDown tag team champions. He feels that Heath needs to toughen up, so he's taking it upon himself to toughen him up somehow. We don't know how. They're not giving us any background on that, but Rhino took on Braun Strowman in originally what was supposed to be a one-on-one match, and Braun Strowman got tired of Heath Slater outside of the ring being a quote-unquote cheerleader, so he called him, told him, hey, you got 2 choices. You could come in the match, or I'm going to put you in the match. So Heath Slater jumped in the match, and, they both proceeded to get destroyed. Yeah. And then Braun Strowman walks backstage, and, Kane comes out and says that, hey, we need to be we're the alpha monsters of Monday Night Raw. Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Yeah, we need to be the alpha monsters of Monday Night Raw and, take out Brock Lesnar, blah, 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 blah. Braun says, I'm the only alpha monster here, and, basically turned down Kane's request to work as a team. So what was after that?
The
Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe for the Intercontinental Championship.
205
What?
I thought Neville came up, but no.
No.
I'm, confused now.
What? Okay, so the next match was Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental Championship.
And if Roman Reigns got disqualified, he actually was going to lose.
Yep, that was the stipulation. Because Roman got disqualified in their match last week. Yeah. So the stipulation was if Roman Reigns got disqualified, he would lose the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was significant about that?
So, of course, Roman didn't lose because he's like, I know that Roman didn't lose, but how, in everything that Samoa Joe did, he still found a way to get him down on the mat and pin him.
What?
After every move, after every submission hold that Samoa Joe did, he still found a way to get Samoa down on the mat and pin him.
First of all, it was a great match. Roman Reigns continues to, put on great matches. Everybody who says Roman Reigns isn't good really just needs to... It's kind of like the LeBron James argument. LeBron James is the greatest of all time, in my opinion. And if you don't believe that Roman Reigns is a good wrestler, you just need to just stop watching because you're a hater. Simple and plain. Roman Reigns... Yes, you are a hater. You know what I'm saying? So, Roman Reigns continues to put on great matches... match after match after match. You can't name me the last time Roman Reigns had a bad match. And you can't say that, and I've actually voiced that to people, and they say, oh, it's because whoever Roman was wrestling, they carried him. Nah, man. Roman, come on, man. I don't even want to get started. So, anyway, Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe had a fantastic match. I hope it's not to blow off to their feud. Because the feud was very, very good. Very, very good.
Best feuds I've actually seen so far.
Yeah, to me, it was the best feud of all last year, in my opinion, was probably Miz, Dean Ambrose, and then Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. They were kind of tied. So, what, CJ?
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree highly with this guy.
Especially for Miz and Dean Ambrose.
You said what?
Especially for Miz and Dean Ambrose.
Okay, and you guys, anybody who's listened to Hit the Ropes before, they know I'm not a fan of Dean Ambrose at all. So
I've watched one of those
one
Yeah,
of the
he's not a fan of Dean
WWE
Ambrose at all.
episodes.
So Samoa Joe also had a great promo before the match with Renee Young. He said that he took out Dean Ambrose and made him a stay-at-home husband living off his wife's paycheck. And the significance of that is Renee Young, backstage announcer, interviewer, is the wife of Dean Ambrose. So he told his wife to his face, I made him a stay-at-home husband living off his wife's paycheck. So that's part of, once again, part of being a good heel, being able to, do things like that, So what was the next match?
That was the last on Raw.
That was the last match on Raw?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think so. Okay, so...
Oh, yeah, then Brock did something at the end.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar came out at the end. It wasn't really, significant. So, one of the things that was significant this week is we saw what could be the beginning of something that a lot of fans have wanted since the three gentlemen have, particularly the club. We've wanted to see a quote-unquote Bullet Club reunion in WWE. Anybody who follows wrestling, Finn Balor is the leader of the original Bullet Club stable in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh yeah, they did get back together.
When he left New Japan, then AJ Styles came, and AJ Styles was the leader of the Bullet Club. And then when AJ Styles left, the leadership was passed on to Kenny Omega. So it was a 6-man tag team match on Raw, and it was Elias and the Miztourage against Finn Balor and
there was a match like that.
Yes, against Finn Balor and the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, known as the Club. So it looks like the Balor Club has officially formed. Finally,
Wait, wasn't Finn Balor in that match too?
yes, that's what I just said.
You said just Luke and...
No, it was a 6-man tag team.
No, but you only listed Luke.
No, I said Finn Balor was joined by the Good Brothers. So,
I was not listening.
to me, other than the Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, and Alexa Bliss, Asuka stuff, that was probably the third most significant. Well, as a fan, depending on where your allegiances lie as a fan, as a wrestling fan, that might have been the top thing for you, because it's like we've been wanting it for a long time, and it seems like Finn is getting his push slowed down. So we actually kind of wanted to see them do something with Finn Balor, other than him, not getting his Universal title rematch, which he's been waiting over a year for. Well, because remember, he won the first ever Universal title, and he had to give it up because he got injured. Never got a rematch. So,
At least Naomi got a rematch when she got better.
Yep.
I mean, that makes no sense.
That is just called.
But are you talking about the
All right.
Universal?
Universal.
Okay.
Okay, so
I was just making sure.
let's jump over to SmackDown quickly. So Daniel Bryan opened the show and stated that because he doesn't know the status of Dolph Ziggler, while putting Ziggler over, saying that he's one of the greatest of all time. He said he does not know the status of Ziggler, after calling him all week, trying to get a hold of him all week, still hasn't had a chance to, and so he decided to open a U.S. title tournament for the championship, because at the end of SmackDown last week, Dolph Ziggler laid the belt down and walked off, so we don't know what happened. So it looks like the point of this SmackDown was all about furthering, chaos between Shane and Daniel Bryan, kind of sorting out the tag team title picture on SmackDown, and then this U.S. title tournament. So, Jasmine, do you have any notes from SmackDown?
No, but I did watch SmackDown.
Okay, so what were your impressions of SmackDown?
It was actually better than usual for some reason. I don't know why. But, like, all, like, the backstage stuff that happened was, like the only backstage moment that, like, caught my eye was actually when Daniel Bryan was talking to Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And then, sorry. And then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn said that they wanted to have the last laugh. So, basically, all the backstage moments that were happening, that really caught my eye out of all of them. And then the was there Benjamin and Gable versus Usos match?
No, it was a triple threat match.
Oh, yeah.
It was Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable versus the New Day versus Rusev Day. Rusev Day, which probably is the most over act right now. They were on commentary. It was a triple threat match for the number one
Can I get
contender.
my tablet to watch this?
No, not right now. You can't live watch it during the show. What are you doing? So,
I watched.
yeah, I understand you watched it. The triple threat tag team match was a great match. Yes, it was January 2nd. So the first, I'll be honest, I didn't watch SmackDown. I let the kids watch it. I tried to watch a preview of it this morning, but I couldn't because I was kind of cleaning up around the house. I did, but I didn't pay attention enough to it.
Like the wrong one, I don't know. Because when I was watching, it was January 2nd.
Yes, that was the SmackDown from this past week.
Yeah, but I had like a Benjamin Gable versus the Usos match.
No, that wasn't January 2nd.
What?
That was last week, man.
Oh, wait. But then they had oh, yeah.
All right, so
I can't remember. Wait, I think the New Day won that match. I can't.
No, Benjamin and Gable won that
I
match.
can't remember.
I feel like
Okay.
there's still a feud
Yeah,
going on
they
between
ripped me
Shane and Kevin Owens.
They ripped me.
Probably is. But anyway. So, when it comes to SmackDown, sometimes really the only thing I want to see is Rusev and Aiden English. They're over. I love those guys. The fact that, Rusev is always smiley and happy during Aiden English singing, that's kind of subtle, but I think it's great.
It's kind of weird sometimes, too.
Whatever. But anyway, so now that we're, do you guys have anything else to talk about on for WWE? Because you guys are about to leave. Do you have anything?
Open the door.
Okay,
And
so
Moon did win the NXT Championship at NXT War Games.
Really?
yeah, that was in November though.
I currently watched that though because I didn't watch that until like December 22nd or something.
Okay, CJ. All right, y'all. Peace out.
Bye.
Peace out.
See ya.
The kids will see y'all back next week.
See you next week.
See you next
All right,
week.
come on, go. All right, love y'all.
Bye.
So the girls have to go get their hair done. I don't know what CJ is gonna do. I am gonna recap New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom 12.
Of course.
So
My notes.
if you're watching on Facebook Live, you see me lounging, and I'm comfortable. So, Wrestle Kingdom 12. So, Wrestle Kingdom is New Japan Pro Wrestling's WrestleMania of sorts. It was a 5-hour show. So, in Japan, I don't know what time it started in Japan, but here in the States, the entire event started at, well, it was a pre-show of sorts, started at 2 a.m., but the regular show started at about 3 o'clock in the morning. I woke up I was sick Wednesday, like all Wednesday night, went to bed early. So it was my plan to go to sleep. My plan kind of worked because it was my plan to wake up early and then go to bed early and then wake up so I can wake up early because I was off Thursday. Wake up early and watch Wrestle Kingdom. But so I was able to do that. It sucks because I was sick. And that was the reason. But hey, I did not, I don't regret it because it was an excellent, excellent show. The Young Bucks, the show started out with, the Young Bucks versus Roppongi 3K. That's Sho and Yo, who were the, junior tag team champions. The Young Bucks. So people, are annoyed by the Young Bucks. They say, the Young Bucks are quote unquote killing the business. All the acrobatics and stuff that they do, they say it's not good for wrestling, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. I say, hey, stop hating. Because, and the reason why I say that is because when the Young Bucks have a yes, they did, their aerial stuff, in the match, but they also wrestled a match, they wrestled a really good match, and people never give the Young Bucks credit when they actually wrestle a good match. Regardless is, people, and, one of my criticisms about, it's kind of like, old school basketball fans that don't want to give LeBron James, any credit. It's like old school wrestlers don't want to give the new generation, and listen, like all the new generation, doesn't, flip around the ring and jump around the ring. Everybody's not like aerialists and stuff like that. But on the indies, one of the things that you have to do is get the crowd involved in your match. And when the crowd isn't, when you're doing like, all this aerial stuff and all these big spots, the crowds get into it. I remember it was either early last year or late 2015. 2016. I want to say it was early last year. Ricochet had a match with Will Ospreay where they did this sequence that looked like it was straight out of a Kung Fu movie. And I loved it personally. People hated it. One of the most outspoken critics of it was Vader, who just totally bashed the storyline. So, it's no storytelling. It's just a bunch of acrobatics, blah, blah, blah. It's not really wrestling, whatever. So, I enjoyed it. I love cruiserweights. I love when you can see the guys flying around the ring doing, things that I can't do. And quite frankly, a lot of wrestlers can't do. One of the things that got me really excited about WCW back in the day is the cruiserweight division, and the cruiserweights. And that's where I think the WWE gets it wrong with their cruiserweights, because they act like the cruiserweights are kind of like on their own separate island by themselves and not necessarily part of the regular roster. And they are. But back in the day, WCW's cruiserweights interacted with the rest of the roster. Saw Juventud Guerrera, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is probably the Rey Mysterio that we all know and love today because of his feud with the Giant, aka the Big Show. And then he joined the Wolfpack, NWO, was Ray the Giant Killer. WCW did it right with the cruiserweights, and I've always liked cruiserweight wrestling. Not saying that I don't like, seeing, two behemoths, destroy each other, because Lord knows I loved, Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar, because it was straight. And I hated the way it ended. I hated the way they didn't give Braun the title. But I mean, it was just like two big horses just destroying each other, just wrecking shop. And I like that too. So I don't like all the criticism, or necessarily understand all the criticism of the Young Bucks, especially when they wrestle a match like they did at Wrestle Kingdom And you don't hear these guys, giving them a peep of like, respect or, props like, oh man, hey, these guys actually can wrestle a really good match. Jim Cornette. He's one of the Bucks' most outspoken critics too. So let's get to the Wrestle Kingdom results. Wrestle Kingdom 12. The Young Bucks beat Roppongi 3K to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. So then there was one of the things about New Japan is that they have tons of belts. So next up was the never open weight 6-man tag team championship gauntlet match. So basically, New Japan has regular tag team 2-on-2, and then they have a 3-man tag team belt, which the Bullet Club, Bad Luck, who consisted of Bad Luck Fale, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa, versus Chaos, Beretta, Tomohiro Ishii, and Toru Yano, versus Michael Elgin and War Machine, versus Suzuki Gun, versus Taguchi Japan, and it was a gauntlet match. So Chaos actually ended up winning the match when Beretta pinned Tama Tonga with the Dude Buster, and then they actually proceeded to lose the next night on New Year's Dash. So then the next match was a great match between Kota Ibushi and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes had a fantastic 2017, and Brandy Rhodes, his wife, made history by being the first black woman to ever appear on Wrestle Kingdom when she accompanied her husband down to the ring. I listen, man. Vince McMahon wanted him to stay at Stardust, bro. Listen. WWE lost a good one, man, and Cody Rhodes keep shining, keep grinding out on Cody, because he can't use his last name right now. But listen, Cody Rhodes, Kota Ibushi. Ibushi won with a Phoenix Splash in a great match. Started off a little slow, and I like the fact that Cody Rhodes, man, he takes his heel work to another level, especially having his wife outside and the interaction between the two of them. It's great heel work. So next, we had Evil and Sonata versus Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer. And Davey Boy Smith Jr. in this match looked exactly like his dad, the late great British Bulldog, except, with the exception of having blonde hair. He had on the boots, had on the jeans, and jeans have to be very uncomfortable to wrestle in. Hey man, listen. I don't like tight clothes. I know people who wear like dudes. I was stationed with dudes that would wear like cowboy jeans and stuff like that. Said they were just comfortable. I don't get that, but hey man, whatever floats your boat. So Evil and Sonata, that was a pretty good match. They beat Killer Elite Squad for the IWGP Tag Team Championship. To me, the third best match on the card was Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroki Godo for the Never Openweight Championship. It was also a hair versus hair match. Minoru Suzuki, man, 49, I think he's like 47 or 49 or something like that. He is a badass in the ring. And he wrestles with just trunks and boots, no knee pads or anything like that. And it looks hella weird. But man, this dude pulled off like probably the most picture perfect drop kick I've ever seen. And for a dude his age, the what he does in the ring is amazing. So then we had a fatal 4-way for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Will Ospreay versus Takahashi versus Kushida versus Marty Scurll. And Will Ospreay actually ended up winning the match. It was okay. I thought that match probably was a little too long, but I didn't mind the match. Like I said, I enjoyed it. It was okay. The next match after that was Hiroshi Tanahashi, the Ace, over Switchblade Jay White. This was a pretty good match. It was a good match. I've never seen Jay White before Wrestle Kingdom. I've seen Tanahashi a few times. He's really, really good. I believe Tanahashi's like 40 also, but he still turns it on. He has the best hair in all of wrestling. Yes, Tanahashi beat Jay White to retain the Intercontinental Championship. And for a while, because the first 5 championship matches, all 5 championships change hands, I was like, wow, that's not going to look good for our champ later on in the night. So I'm not going to go to the next match. I'm going to go to the main event was Kazuchika Okada versus Tetsuya Naito, which was a great match. It was slow, but I think it was the perfect pace for that match. In the end, though, Okada won with a Rainmaker. It took 3 Rainmakers, which is Okada's finishing move. It took 3 to finally put Naito away. Naito went for his finishing move, Destino, which was countered into a jumping tombstone power driver, and then right after the power driver, Okada hit the Rainmaker. So now that leads me to the match that was the hype of the card. It was Alpha versus Omega. Alpha being Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega. And holy smokes, this match was excellent. Kenny Omega became my favorite wrestler last year after I watched his matches versus Okada. And then once I watched him in the G1 tournament, I mean, it was just like Kenny Omega is great. It's nothing else I can say. Hands down, Kenny Omega is probably the best wrestler on the planet right now. But you know, Chris Jericho calls himself the best in the world at what he does. And damn, was this not... First of all, this was a Chris Jericho we haven't seen before. He was brutal. He was relentless. I mean, he took out Red Shoes, who's the referee. He took up, and it was no disqualification. He took out Red Shoes' son. He put the Boston Crab version of the Walls of Jericho on Kenny Omega. He ended up, going and hitting the real Walls of Jericho on Kenny Omega. The crowd was super hot for the match. I was drifting off to sleep before that during the Tanahashi Jay White match. That match had me up, alert, sitting in my bed, glued to the TV. Man, and it did not disappoint. I saw a lot of people saying, they didn't believe that the match was going to live up to the hype. Well, the match lived up to the hype and surpassed the hype. And what seemed like a one-off, I wish I had more time. I got about 5 minutes left. So I can't talk about it any further. Maybe I'll do another excuse me, sorry. Maybe I'll do another podcast to talk about that. But holy smokes, if you want to see a great wrestling match, New Japan put on some of the best like the top match in WWE last year will probably be the 6th or 7th best match in New Japan for last year. Maybe even the 8th, maybe even 10th. That's how good the quality of wrestling was in New Japan. And listen, here's the thing. In those WWE matches, any of the with the exception of Velveteen Dream versus Aleister Black at TakeOver Houston, all the other matches that I would consider for match of the year in WWE all contained AJ Styles, and he's the reason why they were, match of the year quality. But yeah, I wish I had some more time to talk about this. We got the NFL playoffs coming up, starting today. Not going to talk about that because, like I've said, I've been off of the NFL this year, particularly because the Lions suck, and I was tired of the way they treated Colin Kaepernick. So, I just want to thank you guys for joining in and supporting me as I talk wrestling, especially wrestling with my kids. I love doing stuff like this with the kids. It keeps them involved, keeps them engaged, and hopefully they'll start, this will tap into a little bit of their creative side, to just do other creative things. They already draw. Like I said, I started an Instagram page for their artwork. So yeah, man, thanks for supporting the 31 Days of Podcast. Talk to y'all later. Well, talk to y'all tomorrow.